Nish, Tommy the Rash. We're back again. So I put up a video on doing the bearing in this lad here on the Distributor shin, and we have it done. So those videos will be the new bearing and then new bearing part 2 will be the two videos. First one being stripping it down, getting the bearing, old bearing out, and the second one being putting it back in. So now that I'm back, I was debating whether or not I would record putting in things like the pints and stuff like that, and the capacitors that are known, I think, in America, and in Europe they're probably called a condenser. I think it is a capacitor. So I'm just putting this little end on it here because this wire was too long. So I just went through my little bag here of they're kind of connections that, they're kind of Lucas connections. I find that you find them as starters, ignition coils and stuff like that. So I'm just going to give this wire, I'm going to put this end on this wire here, and he'll do as a little, no I don't, it's a way of kind of crimping these ones, kind of go over, one goes over the other, kind of. Yeah, there you go. And you hear it clicking your fingers, you know it's tight enough. My uncle worked on buses in Dublin for his working life, and they said when you make an electrical connection like this, it should be strong enough to tow a bus. That's what they told him. But that's Shinbra loads it, good and strong. Tested this on the voltmeter like you see me doing umpteen times, and when you put 200 milliamps into it, will we do it again just to show you? When you put 200 milliamps into it, it jumps in voltage or amps or current, whatever you want to call it. I suppose a capacitor kind of works current, doesn't it, really? And volts, really works. So we're set to 200 there, so we'll turn this up where you can see it. It should just kind of go up, increase like for a split second and then come back down, if I'm not mistaken. So let's turn this out of the light a bit. I'll just move the camera, maybe it's just as a reflection, maybe something like that would be easier for you to see. So we'll put the positive onto where the positive connection is going to be, and that's down here, and then the negative onto the side here, and we can see the screen. So it jumps and it goes down slowly, and that's doing its capacitor thing. So let that come back to 0 there. Right, so something's happening in that thing that's telling me it's working. So that's shortened a little bit. Now if we're working on the distributor, it's handy. I think I left the last video on this with this distributor shaft, not really happy about going in there. A little bit of work it went in, but I'm just letting it sit in there for the time being because it's handy, it's able to stay upright, because we do have to fit the cap onto that, and we have to take off this advanced and retard plate here. But for now, letting that sit in there, Shinbra or Shul, it's grand and handy for me. So either that or we put it in the little vise maybe. At least that way I can turn it outwards. And you can see what's going on then. It's always handy having an aluminium jaw, kind of small vise. So we have to take out the screw in there for the capacitor, for the condenser. I'm watching too much YouTube videos from America. Okay. What we do is, because this has to earth the points through this connection here, we have to give it a Daz's Den special. You always see me doing this with electrical connections. There's a kind of a coating on this metal, so you want to get that all back down to the proper metal. And if this is loose, it's no harm just giving it a spin. If it comes off, just polish up the body of this as well, so it's making a good connection. But it should be ideally like to tap that off completely and push it up like that. Give it, see the kind of crap under there. That's not going to help your point. So I'll get a better bit of sandpaper here. This is getting a bit solid, as they say around here, a bit dirty. And just a scrap is all you need. And get all that scum off it there. That's built up. And drag it back down. Now we can move it up and down a bit. That's the beauty as well of these brackets, not like some of the original Lucas brackets that were kind of spot welded in place. So I like to kind of go over the whole lot. This could mean the difference, you know, in your pints lasting a bit longer, like. And then we look in there, we make sure in there is nice and as shiny as possible as well, so that the current can flow through it. There it is. Okay, so probably a bit overkill, some might think. You'd probably be right. So these can be a little bit of a nuisance. If you have a magnetic screwdriver, it's ideal, because there's no way you're going to go getting your fingers down in there. And it's always handy to have the other screws in as well, because that helps keep your pints plate nice and located. Now, so that's that. And this is this here. So what we do is, this is your main power in. So it's all going to depend on how clean that is in there. It's not looking the best. So what I do with that is just hit them with the Dremel. And it gives it a bit of a polish up. Now I'm going to show you one more little thing I'm going to do with that, just to show you. Handy little set of detail files. Get one, a flat edge, and literally what we do is scratch it back, because this is brass and that doesn't look like brass down there. But when you start scratching it, it takes off that layer of corrosion. Brass isn't too bad for corrosion, but it does build up kind of a black scum on it, and that all creates resistance. So you'll have slightly less spark at your pints, and your condenser won't work as well. So for the sake of taking your second or two and doing this, it will help. The amount of yokes you see like on YouTube or at shows or whatever, and they're all, you know, they're spitting and farting. This is how you help that. We're getting severely overcrowded here on the workbench, but it's not the worst of a complaint. I've umpteen distributors cleaned down here at the moment, so stripped down, so insulator a bit of a clean. Okay, so yeah, we're starting to put too many parts down in places. Okay, so let's go and take a look here again where we're at. So the first part in the puzzle is this lad here. He's designed to take the square end. So what we can do at this point is fit the condenser on there. So then you put this lad here, he's got a square end as well. He's got to be fitting something like that. So we'll leave fitting the condensers or insulator, washer, very important. Forget that. You're just going to have your ignition earthing straight away. That's not going to be ideal. Okay, so that is our spade connector going in there. Right. I would prefer to see an insulated spade connector going on there, but that one wasn't. But it's okay, it's just going to be a matter of making sure it stays up. Because of the shape of it as well, it won't bend down, it'll be stuck in that square. So then we put on this nice wide insulating washer. Am I right in saying, is that too big? If it's too big, it's going to cause issues. It actually nearly is. How did I get that in there last time? That is fairly bloody snug now, that is. Because there's already one in there. I don't need that one, don't I? There's one there. Well, that's good enough. So what we can do at this point, I think, is fit the points. So this part here first. In over that little brass shaft there. That's good. We get our little screws, washers, and okay, and points, and another fibre washer. Right. So first things first, put in one of the screws, a little bit tight for space in here. Magnetic screwdriver isn't going to work on these brass screws. These don't need to be nipped yet because there still has to be a bit of adjustment done, but it's just to hold them in place. Okay, and then that's not the right one there at all. That's the right one. Those ones are genuine Lucas, they're not the ones. So then you go and put your insulating washer down there, otherwise your points are not going to be too happy. This is where you get your snouty pliers. Push back your lad there. And I find at this point here, I like to have the backing plate, we'll call it, for the points. I like to be able to have him over and back a little bit, right? Because I like to be able to make sure that they're at the right height. Sometimes you have to put a thicker washer underneath this lad here to lift them up a bit. Or thinner. It's no harm with thinner, you can just run it up and down on a bit of sandpaper and it'll tin it. So that's that. Snouty pliers just to push in the spade connector for the condenser a little bit more. And now we're ready to start. Building up this lad here. So we have one insulating washer in there. So to make sure I don't have another one in behind it, because these are no, I don't. fairly hard to come by sometimes. Okay. And we have a selection here of other washers that we can fit. So we need that. We also need this. It's only for keeping moisture out, but still, it is important for that reason. You can see some of these distributors have kind of like what looks like kind of what would you call it, silicone on them. So I wouldn't mind putting a slightly wider washer on that there. If possible, I might even look for one. Let me see, yeah. I don't really like putting on narrow ones in there, because unless it gets a good grip on that, because I find it only ends up wrecking them. But no, that's actually going to be okay. And then our nuts are here. Oh, I do that. But then, because they have to carry power in and out and through them. Quick little rub with Mr. Sandpaper. Some of these will always be a little bit awkward to start threading. When I'm tightening this lad up, I like to just keep my finger behind it and keep that square edge down flat, not have it turning too much. And then I get my socket here. Sometimes again I find these are up and down the sides. You wouldn't know. You just have to keep trying until you get the right one. Okay. So watch that right there, make sure it's not pulling in behind it. And it looks like it is. So yes, we need a wider washer there just to hold it in place. That's no big deal. So we get one of them. It's worth doing it because not all of these distributors have this rubber lad on them. Some of them have just, I'd say, got dry and like cracked like this and ended up not going back on when a set of pints were changed. But I know you definitely need them around this neck of the woods anyway, with how damp things to get in the winters. Can be a bit of a whole hand in trying to get these off. They're fairly tight. So what I'll do is I'll have a look through my washer box there. I'll come back then with a slightly wider washer. Okay, so what I'm going to use here is this. Oh, that looks a bit better. Now we can go ahead and fit the washer and the spring washer first, actually, I should say. Same crack. Keep your finger on the square edge at the back there. If you want to put a spanner on it, you can. Okay. And test everything at the back there for tension, and it's good. Make sure that square head is nice and it's not turn down too much and breaking it. And then put other. You can nearly see that one side of these nuts slightly chamfered, that's towards the outside, and one side is flatter, and that's for the inside. And that is ready now for its wire, for its input. Okay, so I did a bit of work on this. In the other video there you probably saw that it was a little bit damaged from before. So another job I can do now is fit these, unless I want to set the points. So we'll do that now. Get the Lucas tool for that. So I reckon this is kind of set 14 to 16 thou. So they say about, I suppose, 15 thou. It's a nice little Lucas point adjusting tool as your feeler gauge, and this actually works as a flathead screwdriver. So you can loosen these kind of pole screws here. So you turn your cam onto the highest point. We can actually turn the distributor body now because the bottom is in its it's in the jaws. Turn it onto the highest point. There's a dwell there of the cam isn't. It kind of dwells on it for a little bit. So what we can do then is check for gap, and that's too much of a gap. Push it inwards. Start giving them a nip. It's a handy little tool now. A little bit of a nip and see. It's called a feeler gauge for a reason. There's a kind of a feel. You have to kind of, you do have to kind of feel it to get a feel for it. Okay. Now, they are not, if I want to be fussy, they are not the ones that I meant to put in there, because the ones I had going for putting in there were cleaned up a bit better than that. These need a bit of work on the slots, so we'll just take out one at a time. These are the ones I was going to put in. Too many distributors stripped down here on the bench, that's all that's wrong. So we can give him a proper nip now. Okay, we can loosen this one off. So the man says it's all nuts and bolts. And the other one is that one there. It's a bit of cleaning up on the face of the screw. That shouldn't affect the point gap, but we'll check it again. And yeah. Okay. So there we go. So that is that bit done. One thing I only thinking of now I didn't actually do is work on one of these. I'm going to give that a quick shot blast and I'll come back. Right, so just a quick shot blast and then just a quick polish on the drill. And that should go down there fairly easy. This is Mr. Condenser stopping us going down. Yeah, he is slightly. Okay. So we'll make sure that that condenser isn't getting in the way of the cam there. Yeah, so he's a little bit high. So that's okay. I was thinking, right, that bracket was a little bit. Should be able to bend them up at the back and down at the front. It's only should be able to get around it, I would imagine. Not, we'll just have to modify that bracket a bit, take it out, do a bit of sanding, a bit of filing, get it snugger. We should be able to do that. Just want to make sure it's not. Yeah, so it's hitting there. You can see it there. So that's okay. You're going to run into these problems. That's not a Lucas condenser. It says made in France on it. So let's do a little jobbing on it. Okay. Keep him. Now, I can grind a bit on the Dremel and do this fairly quickly. We need to get this in closer to get in closer to the side of the case, and that's all. So we'll just grab them with this lightly. Just give that another little file. You're going to run into these little problems every now and again. They're just there to test us, that's all. Overcoming them could be just as simple as that, really. Like, I usually like washers and everything, but on these I like, because there's this bracket is just actually 2 bits of metal in it. I'd get worried of putting washers on that you're going to end up with less threads and a more chance of threads stripping. So that should be a bit better there now. Okay, threads are good. Okay, so it's just the slightest bit. I'd say even moving on the bracket now should be enough. Actually, that isn't really very, unless it's bottomed out, is it? Make sure it's got a good grip on it anyway. And in fact, filing that was good, because now there's a bit of a kind of curve on it there. It's kind of taken to the shape a bit better. Move it on the, try and centralize it a bit. I think that's all we're going to probably have to do here. Give it a centralizing, because there's this kind of has to fit in around that a bit. Yeah, we're nearly there. See. Okay, so what could be? It's not the wire. It's not the greatest fit on that now, in fairness. Wouldn't be very happy with that. If you're expecting your electrical system to air through that, it's not going to. Well, it will, but it won't be great. Got a bit more of a nip. Okay, so we're running into some issues here, but we're going to overcome every single one of them. So it might be very boring for you to watch, or you might run into these issues yourself down the road and be damn glad you watched it. So I have a little what we're going to do is we're going to make things a little bit tighter around this bracket, so that when it's tightened, it's going to get a better grip on the capacitor, on the condenser. Take a bit of meat off this for a start, and if nothing else, we're only cleaning up the earth. What we can do then as well is we can take a bit more off this while we're at it, because it's still just a little bit too not going in enough. Okay, that's good. So yeah, that'll clean that up even more for us. Now, okay, I'm just thinking out loud here. What I'm going to do to improve the connection, I think, right, this might look or sound very stupid, or it might look very clever. And to be honest with you, at this moment I'm not 100% certain what I even think it is, but I'm going to try it. So we need to tighten that bracket around the condenser. So yes, you can go and open that up like I did and start taking off a bit more mate so that it closes more. That's a possibility, and we've given that a bit of a scratch. I don't know, is that going to have done enough? So what I'm going to do now is going to look a little bit more, now how do we put it, utilitarian, or one of these things. So get our bracket. I need a bigger snips than this really, ideally. I need to, so that's not going to work as I hoped. Got to crimp the side of this a slight little bit. Yeah, just slightly. Yes, I thought she louder. It's strong enough now. I need something. I need to dunt it basically. When you dunt it, then you get a little few lips on it. When you tighten it, then it gets a grand grip of it. So that should do it. So Okay. So now it's definitely harder to fit on it, so that's what we want to see. That sliding over and back too handy now is, it's not going to do the trick, like, especially when it was actually tightened. That would just burn your pints out jig time. Your magnetic screwdriver, I don't know how magnetic this is, but it's definitely what you need for the likes of this now. You don't want to fall underneath the pints plate, otherwise you got to go taking it all out again. Yeah. Either that or a screwdriver that fits snugly into. Let's try and hold it. Now, try and make sure it's centralized. Okay. Okay. Still a little bit proud. Yeah. Just a bit. So loosen and push it back a bit. It is fairly long, I suppose, now that when you're actually looking at it. It's a long enough condenser. Let's see, does that condenser want to slide around as much? No, it doesn't. So that's how you sort that. A few dunce and does the trick. Still a little bit proud, right? Don't like doing this now. I might just move things to where they need to go. Okay. So make sure we're not hitting. We're not. So we can dunt that downwards a bit. All the time checking for that being nice and tight, and we can check this here, make sure it's not hitting the cam anywhere. Now, Okay, so how we've sorted it is got a different bracket, and now our cover goes on perfect. Right down. So what we can do is, to finish it, this one will be for sale as we put on a new rotor iron. You can feel the spring there returning. That's what you want to see. And brand new distributor cap, missing a few acorns, so we'll put some new acorns in that, and that'll be that finished. So there should be a set of new acorns around. They're not in this box here. broken, so we'll get rid of that. No point keeping anyone that are broken. Made in England. Made in England. So we've got 2 new distributor caps. See, this one here is missing its carbon brush, but we have loads of them spare, and springs. So we'll go with this one here. We'll take off them. I'm surprised I don't have a full set. Oh, must have used them on my own. We do have enough here anyway to we actually probably have them, and yeah, probably have enough of them there. And that goes down over there. So there we go. So we can call this done. Points gap is set. What we have to do, just realise now, is fit. I took off the clips as well, just because, you know ourselves, they were flapping about a bit. So we'll put them back on. Okay. Bend that, may as well straighten him up a bit as well if we can. I want to straighten him in the vise because you know yourself, we're getting this far without making shit of it. So let's just go and see if we can. So might just give him a dunt there first with the hammer just to straighten up. May as well have it all looking nice. Okay. These fit well, so we may as well use them. I have plenty of new ones there, but it's something about the quality of the old ones I like. Don't want to go bending them in there because no my luck they'll break. Okay, I'll just give them a little split. Just a little bit, nice and neat. How's this one looking? Not too bad. A little bit wide at the end there, just where it goes in. Okay, lovely. Easy does it. Lovely. A little bit of a split. Nice and easy. We'll see now that they fit with a new distributor cap. Okay. That was fairly bloody strong now. There it is. Okay, and that's doing the thing. You can hear the points. So I think that is nearly done. There's just one more little part we need to fit, and that is the part number plate and the date and plate. I say I like the finish that the Dremel gives it. Gives it that nice kind of a slightly dull kind of a finish. Now, just making sure we seem to have fitted her from there. This is a little bit grubby there on the sides from grease and stuff, so we'll see if we have our Dremel here just to give it a little. Okay, so just give this a quick rub. See if it just takes off this dirty grease. If not, it could be paint. Yeah, not going to go overkill on it. The most important thing is that we can read the part number and the date, being 6 of 50. Just there. And the version. So that is the most important thing, and this will finish it. I'm very happy now with how this has turned out. And that is a Spare X distributor cap and rotor. So this should do the trick, and Spare X points. So I've really enjoyed doing this. The challenge was to get the old bearing out and get the new one in without making a mess of things, and I think it's something I managed to do, and it definitely would spur me on to continue working on the rest of them, or some of them at least, and eventually then, as I said, keep 1 or 2 spare ones for myself. 1 or 2 spare ones for myself. Might put electronic ignition in one of them, and I'll definitely have another one built to original spec with all original parts, rotor arm, condenser. I have a spare original condenser there. There's only one thing: if I want to be really fussy, I prefer the head of the split pin being on the other side. It just looks a lot neater, so we'll do that here for cosmetic reasons, to look a bit nicer, a bit neater. You look at the head of the split pin rather than the other end of it. It's a bit neater. Okay, turn them around. May as well have them sitting nice and flat. These are all the little bits that just, I think, make her just look that little bit better. A bit of a split bend inner just to widen it. Like that. Just degreased the cap a little bit. I'll be taking pictures of this. I'll be putting it up for sale. And that'll then encourage me then to keep going and get another few. By God, I tell you one thing, it feels good. You can't beat that new bearing. Happy with how I've worked. That's a washer from a tech screw, so it has rubber the other side as well, so it's super insulated, and that's what we want for that power going in. We want it to have no chance of shorting out into the distributor body. They're a lovely part. They're something you're never going to see on an engine anymore. Well, engines are slowly becoming extinct anyway. So I'm very happy with that. So the next thing to do with that is just to put it down somewhere half clean, take a picture of it. And so I'm going to leave it there for this video, and we'll come back when we're doing something interesting in another one. Slán